What's up, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Seeds and Stix podcast. Today, we got a lot to talk about. We're going to be talking about some high school stories about when we played ball, Arenado and Harper, remaining free agents in spring training, growing the game, and a little bit more. Be sure to follow us on social media, on Twitter, Facebook, SoundCloud, YouTube, Podbean, and also join our Discord channel, which will be linked in the description of this podcast. Just to get things started, obviously, I'm Rob here with Ryan and another guest host, Craig. Craig, how you doing today?
Good. Thanks for having me.
No problem. So we're going to go ahead and start and just talk about some high school stories. Craig, you're a little bit older than us, so why don't you tell us about your playing days back in high school?
Sure. So I played high school baseball at Holy Cross in Covington. My senior year was our best year. We actually made it to the region final and lost to Boone County there. But had a blast playing. Some of my most fond memories were definitely playing high school baseball.
Okay, cool. What was your most defining moment playing for Holy Cross, other than striking out? I'm just messing with you.
Defining moment, I would say actually, senior year, probably getting to the region final, because regular season we were about a 500 ball club, and we had a great run to make it to the region final, and we ended up losing to Boone County, who made it a little bit further downstate, but ran into a buzzsaw pitcher who basically pitched a no-hitter against us. So he was just shutting everybody down. But
Wow,
that was my favorite memory of high school baseball.
Well, who was your arch nemesis back then?
I'd say Covcath. They were in the same district as us for
Covcath.
baseball. So
Same as us.
Same as us. What about you, Ryan? What was your defining moment?
I would go with, I'd have to say actually probably making the all-star team junior year and senior year. However,
Let's see if we agree with this.
outside of that, I would go with in the region, kind of starting it off against Boone County.
Yep, exactly what I was going to say
when
for you.
Trey Gans, now at NKU, kind of was shutting us down.
It was at NKU. He's with the Red Sox now in the organization.
Was drafted. Kind of broke up the no-hitter in the fifth inning with a single, and then kind of got us going, and we ended up winning that game. And then winning our first region game in quite a while, so that was probably the most defining moment for me.
And then the worst game was probably right after that, but we won't talk about
that's
that.
very
We will
true.
not talk about that, but hopefully later on in the podcast we might be able to get Trey to hop on and answer some questions and stuff like that. But I definitely agree with you. I think that was definitely your most defining moment. Other than that though, like what were some of your favorite positions to play? Because I know you could play all over.
So my favorite position was for sure shortstop, and then actually second base following, and then right after that I would have to go actually pitcher, because I
love throwing sidearm.
I do love throwing sidearm. Senior year, my coach let me kind of throw sidearm, kind of like how Rysel Iglesias pitches. Actually, that's kind of how I threw from all different arm slots. Not as good.
Hey, look at this kid trying to compare himself to
No,
Rysel.
I'm saying not as good, obviously, but that's
Subtract
the way I
about
like to
25
throw.
miles per hour from that.
Correct, at least, if not more. But, stepping off quickly, just kind of having control of the game. I didn't get to pitch as much just because I played the field, but I definitely loved pitching. But short and second for sure.
So you're like the
Favorite
Marwin
two.
Gonzalez of high school baseball.
Right. It's super utility.
Super utility. I would say for me, my most defining moment was probably going up in the sectional game before state for All A against Bishop Brossart. We were facing against Nate Verst, who was an absolute stud. And we had one out in the top of the seventh. We were down 3-1, guys on second and third, and he threw me a 3-1 curveball, and I hit it up the middle. And I know for a fact I could never do that again because I could never hit a curveball. But that was probably the most defining moment because obviously we went on to win the All A state championship. But
Also, who throws 3-1 curveballs?
Nate Verst does.
Wow. It's impressive.
I know. But my favorite position to play, obviously, was third base. I played first base, though, halfway through junior and senior year, which I still don't really understand because I'm 5'0". But third base was definitely my favorite position to play. And, Craig, you actually remember coaching us and getting thrown out at Hammersville?
I do. Yes. Me and another coach, I believe, got thrown out of that one.
I think I
That was definitely the worst season of baseball, though.
Yeah, I was at third base. You were at short. I don't even... What happened? Like, do you remember exactly?
I struck out looking.
You did?
And it was a horrendous call. And I kind of started getting into it at first, and then I kind of went away. That's when Craig jumped in and the other coach as well. But, I mean, it was just a brutal call. Like, I think it was way outside and low. pretty sure.
For the record,
was
that
like,
was the
wow.
only time I've ever been ejected or thrown out. So.
I didn't even know if I wanted to laugh or
That was
if this is actually happening.
That whole season, I wanted to cry.
Yeah.
So
As did we.
Yeah, we had some characters on that team.
we did indeed.
I remember, I forget what's his name, but he was pitching. I think his name was Andrew or something. Literally the slowest line drive I've ever seen hit back to a pitcher. It wasn't even a line. It was like a little, like a dinky line drive, I guess. And it literally hit him on the head, and the dude just collapses to the ground. Oh my gosh. But no, Hammersville is one of my favorite places to play. I thought it was a really cool complex. But kind of talking about Major League stadiums, what are your guys' favorites?
Well, Craig's been to more than me, so he can go first.
So, in my opinion, no doubt the best from a visual standpoint is, well, it was AT&T Park,
Yeah.
San Francisco, and it's changing names, I know, soon.
It's Oracle Park now.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah.
So,
I actually like that a lot better.
Oracle Park.
so being in that stadium and like when I was in there, we sat behind home plate, but kind of up top.
Yeah, you were there the day before after Hunter Strickland and
It was before.
Harper.
It was the day before.
Yep.
And when you're just, first of all, the fans there are great. They love baseball. And then when you're just watching and the stadium and you get to overlook the water, I mean, it's just like the most beautiful scene ever for a baseball stadium.
Yeah.
So that's definitely my favorite. I obviously biased. I like Angel Stadium a lot.
Inside Angel Stadium at least. Because
Yeah.
Ryan and I, we've
Inside
seen
was
some
sweet.
drone footage when it goes up, and it's just like a complete
There's-
shot.
it's kind of
There's
in the middle
nothing
of
around
nowhere.
it.
It's just
yeah, there's
pavement.
nothing around it.
Inside is cool because
Inside,
you got the fountains.
yeah,
and
the
you
rocks.
just don't expect it. I thought like looking at it on
Inside.
TV is by the beach.
But from an atmosphere standpoint, I do think Wrigley is, as far as fans go, and if you're going to have a party and watch baseball, I'd say that's where you
Honestly, you could go to any Cubs
No
game,
doubt.
anywhere, home or away, and they're going to be there, and there's going to be more of them.
And no matter their record.
Exactly. Do you remember last year when Ian Happ hit the leadoff home run? The place erupted. It's like,
Yeah.
why is it so loud? It's because literally 80% of the fans are Cubs fans. So, what about you, Ryan?
So I would go with Kansas City, actually. I like a lot. The inside, the fountains and everything.
Yeah,
very
Kansas City
nice
was pretty
fans.
cool.
And then kind of going off what Craig just said, Wrigley is towards the top of my list as well. Just overall baseball experience. As much as it pains me to say, I mean, Wrigley Field is top notch for sure.
And one kind of underdog, in my opinion, that I've been to, I don't think you guys have, Camden
I knew
in
you were gonna say
Baltimore.
that.
A lot of
I have-
people
I
say
have
that.
not been there.
Fantastic.
A lot of people say
It's
that.
old school, but really, really cool.
Granted, though, I also can't wait to go to AT&T/Oracle as well because I think that
Right.
from everything I've heard and seen, that's definitely
And
the
honestly,
best
we're
part.
probably going to go there in a couple years when,
at some point
the
in the
Athletics
future.
have their new stadium, which looks awesome.
Ooh, yeah.
But right now, they definitely have the worst stadium. That is completely true. I don't care what anyone says.
Chicago White Sox are up there, though.
Yeah, that's a
But
really ugly
Oakland
stadium.
Stadium right now.
For
but
me-
the new one could potentially be the best.
Oh, it looks awesome.
Yeah.
It looks awesome. For me, though, honestly, I really like the Philly stadium. I don't like their fans that much. They're kind of harsh. But, it's just the culture of the city. They're diehard sports fans, and you got to give them props. They do love their team. But probably my favorite is probably the Rockies. And, I love Coors Field. And speaking of the Rockies, Nolan Arenado signed an 8-year, $260 million extension with an opt-out after the third year. What do you guys think about that?
So, in my opinion, I think it's a pretty. Honestly, I think that's one that is good for both sides. I think Nolan Arenado gets the long-term deal he wants, and I think he's 27, 28,
Yeah.
so that's fitting. 8 years, $260 million. Obviously, one of the top 2, 3 third basemen, no doubt. Top 2, 3 best.
I'd probably say him and Matt Chapman. Biased opinion, but it's true.
I also like with that the opt-out potential after the third year
Yeah.
for Arenado. So say things aren't going as planned and he wants to try somewhere else, he's got that option. So I really think this and the Machado one both, I really think for both sides is a really good deal.
How does the opt-out work? Like, after the third year, if he does want to leave,
Player
do
option.
they just pay him the rest?
If
Or
he
do they,
leaves?
yeah,
No, if he
or
leaves,
how do
he's
they?
testing free agency again.
So he just gets that money guaranteed for those 3 years?
Right.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, what about you, Ryan? What do you think about it?
So kind of going off that, I do think it's a good deal for both sides. Arenado's 27, turning 28 next month, April 16th. So, I mean, solid deal, $32.5 million per year. I mean, and in my opinion, he is the best third baseman in the game.
Oh, no doubt about that. And honestly, I have stats right here. I mean, this is just insane. He has led the league in defensive games, so obviously, he's not going to get injured. He'll play every game. Putouts, he ranks at first. In 2018, he had 104. 2017, 103. In 2015, 105. First in all 3 years. He leads in assists as well. I mean, it's insane.
And that's just a guy he's definitely the face of their franchise too. That's just a guy that couldn't lose. So
absolutely,
you got to pony
He
up.
doesn't
and
have a
pay
real
up.
weakness. I mean,
No,
he
no
really
for
doesn't.
power,
A lot of
for
people,
average.
you can kind of,
No weakness at
He's
all.
probably the best defensive third base. I mean,
yeah,
he's just
overall,
outstanding.
definitely. And he led the National League in home runs last year with 38. Had a 297 batting average. His career batting average is 291, and that's very good.
Hits for average,
Yeah.
gets on base, hits for power, and is for sure
His
the
range
best
is- yeah.
defensive third baseman.
It's unbelievable.
And he's not super slow. So
No, definitely not slow. And speaking of Nolan Arenado, obviously, finally, the biggest name we've been waiting to hear for all free agency. Who is it, Ryan?
Bryce Harper.
Yep. Signs a 13-year, $330 million contract with the Philadelphia Phillies. Initial thoughts?
I'm not a fan of this deal at all.
Dude,
and I actually like, most people do not like Bryce Harper. I actually like Bryce Harper. I'm not going to lie. I like him a lot. Love his attitude. Love the way he plays the game. But 13-year deal for anybody, even including Mike Trout, who is probably going to get a 10-year deal at least, I think.
Absolutely.
And he's the best player in baseball. But 13 years is just outrageous to me. Outrageous.
It really is. I've never seen a contract.
And
that
no
long.
trade clause. They gave him all the
He's
power
literally
in the
stuck.
world. Yeah,
Yeah,
they
he's
gave
stuck.
they gave Bryce all the power in the world, and I just think they're really going to regret that in about year 6, year 7.
Yeah. What about you, Craig?
Yep, no opt out on this one. That is a long time with no opt out.
He's going to be playing until he's 39.
I mean, I've been saying all along, these guys got to get their money while they can. So from that standpoint, I mean, at least we can say this: Boris. I mean, in terms of agents all time, I mean, has to be one of the top.
He's unbelievable.
I mean,
No doubt.
he just works magic, right?
He really is. He's really unbelievable. I can't believe it.
And then, I mean, there's also the factor where if you look at it from a AAV standpoint, compared to others, it does work out to be a little bit less. But the thing to me that stands out is just the 13 years. He's going to be, 39 or 40
Yep.
when it's
Exactly.
done? That's just...
And no one's guaranteed after, 33, 34. Some guys, they ascend, some other guys descend. Another guy that's underrated, Anthony Rendon, he's 29, and he's just now really starting to break out.
Late bloomer.
So he's a
Yeah.
late bloomer. So,
But the thing with me, I just think that production is going to start declining
It's
around
going to.
33, 34, and then towards the end, they're just going to end up regretting it in the end.
because you're still paying that, 30-some million a year?
I think what they decided is they're paying the big bucks for those first, let's call it
Now.
8 years,
Yep.
and then they're kind of just bucking up on the end, and you got to pay the guy throughout. So I
Exactly.
think that's what they decided they had to do, because maybe they weren't confident they were going to get Trout in 2 years. Maybe they felt like, hey, this is our time. We've got the cash. We got to spend it.
Right, and that's where I was kind of shocked too, because I thought Trout was definitely going to go there. Not saying he still can't, but it makes it a lot more
I
unlikely.
really hope not, but I mean, it's always
But
possible.
If he does,
But
that's
that
going to be
was-
the team
that
of
was-
the century.
That was Trout's number one destination. I thought he loves Philadelphia.
Now, I will say this: with Phillies signing Bryce Harper, you look at their lineup and you look at their pitching.
Oh, they're stacked.
That's what
And
I'm-
they just inked
that's a brand new
Nola.
team that is
That's-
really, really good.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Paying him now though for a potential World Series these next 3-4 years. I mean, their team is, and I'm
So
sure
let
we're
me
about
ask
to
you
get
guys
into
this:
that.
if he
is
wins
stacked.
if they win 1 or 2 World Series, was it worth it?
Absolutely. I do.
I would agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say so. If they win 1 or 2, yeah.
Especially for that
doubt.
city with those fans.
Right now,
Exactly.
And then if they win 0, absolutely pointless.
Well, yeah.
sure.
If they win 0,
No,
yes,
it's-
then it's a waste. Yes,
Right.
I would agree.
And you see, just
we
like how
all
the
agree on
Phillies
that.
were in 2008, which was the last time they won the World Series. I mean, you had, I don't think Doc Holliday was there yet. I think he got there in 2010 or 11. But I mean, they still had Jimmy Rollins, Chase Utley, those guys, juggernauts. Not Jason Hayward. Wow,
Jason Worth.
him.
Or if, yeah.
Ryan Howard. I'm sorry,
Howard.
I'm thinking of Ryan Howard. I
No,
mean,
but-
that's when he was in his prime. I mean, it's just Philadelphia fans. They honestly deserve it, especially with what they're spending, and I think they are going to get great production out of Harper.
Oh, I didn't. No doubt. Yeah. First few years, yeah, for sure.
Short porch, right field.
Right. And they're not to mention too their lineup. We were kind of discussing on the way here.
Their lineup's disgusting.
Their lineup is stacked. I mean, you're talking about Harper, Herrera, Hoskins, and Real Muto in the top, and then you've got like Franco will be hitting like 7th or 8th.
Yeah, and he batted like 270 last year. He had a good bounce back year. So
that team's definitely the favorite in the NL East now.
Yeah, now they are, and we'll get to that later on here in the podcast. But for me personally, I still can't believe 13 years. That's just insane to think. For me, I'm going to be 36, and I'm still going to be watching Bryce Harper on the Phillies.
The craziest two things about that are the 13-year deal and the fact that he has absolutely no opt-out. That's what's crazy. They're stuck.
Well, see,
they're both sides are just stuck. Like, you better like the place or you're stuck. Like,
from my understanding, that's what Harper wanted. He wanted a place he could be at for, I guess 13 years, right? Where I guess he could have a family, be in the same place. That's what he wanted.
He wants to start a fit and everything.
Unless Boris is completely lying. Boris said, this is what Harper told me he wanted. He wanted one place, long time. And he got it.
And that makes sense now why he didn't want to go to the Giants or the Dodgers, who didn't want to give him that contract. Right. And, kind of another point that I thought was crazy is like, okay, well, why are you accepting a 13-year deal for $330 and you declined a 10-year deal for $300 million with the Nationals? But then I actually dug deep into that, and it's crazy the fact that they were going to offer him $200 million for 10 years and then pay him off the last $100 million until he's about 60. So we're going to have another Bobby Bonilla. And I was just like, okay, now I completely understand why Harper
and
declined.
I think Harper's getting like a $20 million signing bonus.
And you got to think,
right
too,
up front.
He's the most marketed player in Major League Baseball. That is guaranteed.
The dude is going to have money, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
Everybody's marketing him.
Definitely. And one thing I really respect Harper for is just what he said in his press conference about Doc Holliday and like how he should be the last one to wear number 34. Because I always wondered that, and we were talking about that last podcast too, is, Doc Holliday wore 34s, Harper going to wear it, and I just think it was a class act from Harper, and I really didn't expect it. But I respect him for that, and honestly, he was real humble during the press conference. And but he did make a mistake by saying, "Oh, I want to bring a title back to DC." That was so funny.
That was awesome.
I can't believe that.
So now Washington Nationals are going to win the World Series.
I still think they're going to be really good.
They are pitching staff, but Phillies are
now that's to deal with the Braves and Phillies. So.
Division's loaded.
It is. And just kind of moving on, let's go ahead and make our predictions. I think it's fair. I mean, there's a lot of free agents that we'll talk about here in a moment as well. But let's go ahead and talk predictions for each division because I think we have a fair basis now of what we can expect since, the two of the three biggest names in this offseason have signed. So, Craig, we'll start with you. We'll start with the AL West. Who do you got leading the AL West this year in 2019?
Winning the AL West, Houston. I'll have Houston.
All right, why?
They're loaded on offense. When healthy, I think they are one of the best offenses out there. And still relatively young, which is crazy. And then obviously they still have Justin Verlander, Garrett Cole. It would not shock me if they re-sign Dallas Keuchel because I think they could use a little bit more starting pitching. Because they've got those first two, but after that, there's a pretty significant drop-off.
Don't you think they would have already re-signed him if they wanted him back?
I thought they just signed a pitcher.
Oh, they signed Wade Miley.
That's what it was, yeah.
The lefty.
I don't think Keuchel's going back there.
No.
I think it's still possible.
You know who?
You know what? I'll say.
It could be right because nobody else is
I'll say regardless, though, I still pick Houston in that division.
True.
Okay, what about you, Ron?
I would go Houston as well, kind of going off what he said. And what I said, like in the last podcast, the young core that they have is arguably the best in baseball. Mm-hmm. Correa, Altuve, Bregman, and then people forget they just added Michael Brantley.
I know. So, everyone keeps forgetting about that.
The offense is stacked, and then the pitchers,
he can stay healthy.
Right, the pitchers are all there besides Keuchel. I mean, I just love that young core. I can't see another team in there beating the Astros. I just think they're too good of a team, I think it's Houston's division to win.
Yeah, honestly, I agree. Although I do think the Athletics are going to be within 3 to 4 games. I think the Athletics still have a good shot at getting the wild card again, one of the 2 wild cards. But, yeah, Houston, they just added more. I mean, they lost Keuchel, but they added Brantley. So it goes hand in hand. So we're going to see pretty much the same team, if not better, So let's talk about the AL Central now. I think all of us can agree. Can we just all say it together?
Indians.
Indians. Yeah.
The most boring division in baseball.
Outside of Cleveland and Minnesota, I mean,
They're
is just
horrible.
That is a dreadful last three teams.
And then you've got Salvador Perez getting hurt for the year.
That kills the Royals.
And they were already going to be bad.
Yeah. Think about this. They're going to win 50 games in the worst division of baseball.
And then the Tigers, oh, man.
The funny part about it, when you look at those teams, is the White Sox were actually trying to get better with Machado or
They
Harper.
made such
they missed out, and now they're just like, oh man. Unless they're young guys like Moncada and
Kopech.
Yeah, unless they improve drastically, that's gonna be a long season.
It's going to be a very long season.
I think they do have some pieces though. They're getting better.
Giolito and Kopech, they'll be pretty good. I mean, they're going to have to really carry that pitching staff. Okay, so what about the AL East?
Well, I think we all
Toughest
agree
division.
there's going to be two
tough
teams
division.
running for it. The other three
Potentially
will not
three.
be.
I
Tampa
think three.
Bay.
I think three.
I don't think Tampa Bay's going to win it. They could.
No,
get a
they're not
wild
going to win
card.
it. Yeah, but I mean,
You know what? I'm
gonna
gonna say the Yankees this year. I'm gonna flip it and say the Yankees will win it, and Boston will be a wild card this year.
Okay.
And I think Tampa will be in the running for a wild card as well.
It just sucks that they won 90 games and didn't make the playoffs. I'm not complaining because my team got in, but it still sucks. What about you, Ryan?
I'm going the complete opposite. I'm going Red Sox win the division. Yankees or Rays potentially. I'll go Yankees getting the wild card, but I could see the Rays sneaking up there. Blake Snell, Cy Young winner, dude's a stud. But the Yankees lineup is just too stacked. And then Boston, I mean, I think they're just as good as last year with the exception of Craig Kimbrell. So I think they'll be winning the division.
Right, and people still need to give credit where credit's due. Blake Snell, the year he had, winning the AL Cy Young in the toughest division, facing off against the Yankees and the Red Sox and having those good of numbers, that is absolutely insane. But I do think the Yankees are going to win the division this year. I just think their depth in the infield is insane through the roof. Bringing back J.A. Happ. I'm not sold on Paxton. I don't think he's that good. He threw a no-hitter. Congratulations. But I just do not think he's that good. But they still have a lot of depth. And with the likes of Tulo and DJ LeMahieu in the mix too, with this up-and-coming Luke Voigt, who is, I mean, don't even, I see you smiling. Yes, he's on my dynasty team, but still, he is a pretty good player too. So I think the Yankees are going to be on top. I think it's going to be close, though, with them and the Red Sox, probably within 2 or 3 games, but they'll both be in the playoffs.
And I would say something that's really important for the Yankees this year is they need a bounce-back year from Gary Sanchez. Mm-hmm. If Gary Sanchez does not bounce back and he has another terrible year like he did last year, yeah, he could be gone, and that obviously could really hurt them. So he needs to have a bounce-back year.
I don't like Gary Sanchez as a player. I really
don't either for some reason.
He doesn't. There's one.
He just doesn't hustle.
Yeah, I think it was against the Rays. Like, it was a 1-run game, and it was like a drop third strike or something.
He doesn't run after the ball at all.
Yeah, he just walked or something. Okay, let's switch it over to the NL West. I think this is going to be a little interesting here. What do you think, Craig? We'll start with you.
NL West, I will go kind of boring here. I'm going to say the Dodgers win it again.
Okay. Any reason? Just because? Or
I still think when you look at their lineup, their pitching, I mean, even with Kershaw having his issues, they still have a lot of depth in the starting pitching. They've improved their bullpen, adding Kelly out of Boston. Their offense is getting, you could argue, one of the best. It's not a free agent, but it might as well be. They're getting Seager back, who was awesome before he went down with injury.
Yeah, that's going to be huge.
I just think they still have the best team in that division.
And they still have Peterson, Pollock, and Bellinger. Turner. Yeah.
Their team is still loaded. People forget that.
Yeah. What do you think, Ryan?
I'm going Dodgers, and actually, the more I think about it, I actually don't even think it's going to be that close.
You don't?
I think the Rockies are going to come in second, but I wouldn't be shocked if the Dodgers ran away with this one. Pitching staff is awesome. Walker Buehler is about to break out. Dude is an absolute stud. And then, like we were just saying, I mean, their lineup is absolutely loaded 1 through 8. Sure, they lost Puig and Kemp, but I mean, they still have players to back it up, and they're getting Seager back.
Exactly.
And then their pitching staff is, I mean, Hyun-Jin Ryu, Kershaw, Walker Buehler. I mean, they're a very good team, and I could see them running away with this division.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Dodgers are going to come out on top, but The fight for second, I think, is actually going to be pretty interesting. I mean, I think the Rockies are still pretty good, but watch out for the Padres. As much as I hate to say it, but in 2 to 3 years, I think we're going to see something very interesting happen. The Padres have the number 1 farm system in Major League Baseball. So with the likes of Fernando Tatis getting called up, Franchi, Cordero, I mean, there's just a handful of guys. Francisco Mejia.
They just need some pitching.
Yeah, I think they have
Just need some
Denelson,
pitching.
Lamet, and that's about it.
I can't think of many off the top of my head.
Yeah, they had James Shields, I think, but I think he's a free agent now. But that's just kind of my thought process. I think in a couple years the Padres will be on top because the last time they made the playoffs, I fact-checked it. It was 2007 when they had Adrian Gonzalez. So, I don't know. What do you think about for the NL Central, Craig?
Oh, this is the hardest of them all.
I already know what
That's
Ryan's
the
going to say.
best division in baseball.
Yeah,
Oh,
okay.
geez. Here we go.
This kid loves
Here
those.
comes the bias in this
Yep.
one here. So I do think, to give Ryan credit, I do think this is probably, I'll say, one of the 2 toughest divisions in baseball now.
I agree.
2 or 3. And I'm going to go, no doubt, Pittsburgh's finishing last. And I'm going to say the Cardinals end up winning this division this year. I really, really liked their pickup of Goldschmidt. I think they went all out and they needed to because you've got Molina. He's aging. Their infielder, who name is escaping me right now, but they're probably their best hitter.
Paul
in the
DeJong?
infield. Carpenter, excuse me.
Oh, Matt
Carpenter,
Carpenter.
he's probably 33, 34. So I feel like they're trying to make one more run of it before kind of Molina's time is up. And you've got guys like Wainwright who are kind of running out of time. So I really like their pickup of Goldschmidt. And
Just
if
a
they can
one-year
get
deal,
some-
right? Just a one-year
I think
deal?
they're trying to extend him, is my
Okay.
understanding, yeah. So if they can get some good pitching, which I think is going to be the key for them, I think they're going to win the division this year.
Understandable. What do you think, Ryan?
I'm actually going to go with the Cubs taking the division, surprisingly, and then the Reds getting wild card.
Did you say
No,
the
that-
Reds getting the wild
The
card?
thing that scares me with the
Oh, there's
Cardinals.
the bias.
The thing that scares me with the Cardinals, so Ozuna's already hurt. I do love the pickup of Goldschmidt, awesome player, top three first baseman in the game, but I don't see their pitching staff pulling it together. So I'm going to take the Cubs to win the division. Still like their lineup, love Javier Baez, and I think they've got a good team.
I think Javi Baez is going to win the National League MVP this year. I really do.
I could see that.
He's an absolute stud. For me, I think the Cardinals are going to win the division. I agree with Craig. Jack Flaherty, up-and-coming pitcher. Miles Mikolas, who, coming off a stint from Japan, and he just signed an extension. I think it was 4 years, $68 million. So they're getting the pieces together, and like Craig said, try to live it out while you can with Molina because he might have just maybe 2 years left. But
Maybe one.
The thing that scares me with the Cubs is Darvish. That's a
Yeah,
wild card if
huge
he's
question
healthy.
mark, huge
If
question
he's
mark.
healthy, I mean, he's usually awesome.
Yeah.
But also, I mean, Cole Hamels is still, I feel, pretty solid, but he's getting up there in years too. He's probably
Yeah.
36, 37 now.
yeah,
So, but I mean, that's why I say this division, I mean, and we're not even talking about Milwaukee, who made it to
And-
that World Series last year.
However,
right?
I don't think Milwaukee's pitching staff is going to be
don't
nearly as
either.
good.
I don't either.
I
But
think
their
they hit
lineup
lightning
is
in a
good.
bottle
Yep,
at the
I do
exact
too.
right time last year, and I think you've got to have more starting pitching than what they have.
I do too. But very, very competitive division. I
Agreed.
think we can
It
all
is.
agree with that.
Agreed.
definitely. Okay, so the NL East. So obviously, I think the AL East, the NL East, and NL Central are the top divisions. So what do you guys think about the NL East? And obviously, we can all agree the Marlins will not even have a chance.
No. How many games do you think they win?
50?
They won
58.
63 last year.
Okay,
The
55.
division's way better.
Wait, they won 63?
Yeah.
I'll go 50.
I'll say 55. Yeah.
I'll say 53 if you say
I'll say
55.
50. Either way, they're going to be terrible.
Yes.
Awful.
Yes. So again, this is a really tough division. Mets have improved. Phillies have improved. Nationals. They've gotten better on their pitching step, but obviously losing Bryce Harper.
But they still have
is
Juan
big.
This
Soto.
one we should actually
That's
rank
true.
1 through 4 because those 4 teams are all pretty
And
competitive.
Yeah, we
Atlanta
should. We
won
should.
the division last year. Okay, so I'll go
1 through 4.
1 through 4. I'll go.
And who's coming in 5th?
I think Miami.
Oh, okay.
Thanks, Derek Jeter.
Yeah, thanks, Derek. I'll go Phillies. I'll go Atlanta, Washington, and then the New York Mets.
Okay. What about you, Ryan?
I was actually going to say the exact same thing, but I'll switch it up a little bit. I'll go Phillies, and then I will say the Nationals, and then the Braves, and then the Mets. I think the Mets are definitely going to come in fourth just because their pitching staff, I mean, somebody's going to get injured every single year. So that's just the way it's been going. And then, but I could really see, I mean, the Braves' young core, kind of like what I said about the Astros, second best young core, I think, is actually the Braves with Albies, Acuna, and Freeman. And then, I mean, the Nationals' pitching staff is awesome, but I definitely think the Phillies are taking that division.
Yeah, I think the Phillies are going to win it too. And even if they didn't get Harper, if Harper was to go to the West Coast, I still would have said the Phillies. But I'm going to have to go the Phillies, the Braves. I actually say the Mets in third, and then the Nationals in fourth. I think Syndergaard's looked pretty good in spring training. His velocity's up. It's a matter of time if he can stay healthy or not. Like he said, they've had a lot of issues. But DeGrom coming back again, that's going to be a tougher division now. I mean, that's going to be harder than last year. I still think he will have a great year. But, yeah, I think it's going to be the Phillies and the Braves. So just kind of moving on here, I want to talk about some free agents. Obviously, Dallas Keuchel is probably one of the biggest ones that are in question, but I'm going to list these guys off for you. And just this is insane that these guys still don't have a team. So we got Gio Gonzalez, who did well towards the end. Martin Maldonado, Adam Jones, Craig Kimbrell, Dallas Keuchel, Danny Valencia, Carlos Gomez, and Evan Gattis. And then I have three guys for you, too, that people sleep on. So we'll get to that afterwards, though. So what do you think about Craig Kimbrell and Dallas Keuchel, first of all?
Dallas Keuchel has been one of the strangest stories of this offseason that I can ever remember. Obviously, outside of the Harper and Machado, we were kind of just waiting on them. But at the beginning, it was literally... We were all just like, Keuchel's name was out everywhere on every broadcast show, everything. Oh, where's he going? The Reds were interested. A ton of teams were interested all over the board. And then all of a sudden it was just like 3 months and I haven't even heard his name.
Right.
Kimbrel, it basically stands as the best way to put it is basically he was just asking for way too many years and way too much for a reliever.
Yeah. And my correction, too, Carlos Gomez signed with the Mets. But for me personally, I could see Dallas Keuchel going to the Padres. I think that would be a really good fit for him.
That'd be a great signing.
You know, get a stud pitcher, also a lefty, and an up and coming team in a couple years. Sign him for a 4-year deal. Just see what happens. I mean, that's just me personally. I mean, what do you think, Craig, about the whole Kimbrel and Keuchel situation?
I think Keuchel is going to go to one of two teams. I think he's going to go back to the Astros, or I think he will go to the Angels. That's my two guesses.
Wow.
Ooh, actually, I could see the Angels, too.
Angels are a team that always needs starting pitching and just always they never get it.
No,
every year.
Their number one is Matt Harvey, who, by the way, has been having a really good spring training with the Angels so far.
But I wouldn't count on him. I think either of the teams, Angels or the Padres, get Keuchel, that would be an outstanding signing for both parties.
I think Kimbrel's going to end up going. I think he's going to stay East Coast somewhere.
Nationals?
Nationals or Braves. Yeah.
I think he goes back to the Braves.
I don't think he's going to the Red Sox again. I think that's out.
I think he's going to end up with the Nationals for some reason.
So, Ryan and I think it's going to be an NL East team. And, wait, what did you say? Oh, same thing? Okay. So, I guess we're all in agreement here.
NL East.
NL East, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, the Red Sox, they just need to move on. They would have already offered him, or they would have already had this figured out. And they're a World Series team. They can, fill up the holes as they need.
I think the Red Sox actually already said they're not interested anymore. They're already moving on.
I don't blame them.
I honestly
do not blame them.
I don't think they need him.
No.
Simply put.
I could see Carlos Gonzalez going back to the Rockies, too. That would not surprise me.
Yeah, just a veteran guy.
He's been there forever.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't surprise me if he ended his career there. So,
yeah, I could see that.
Evan Gattis is an interesting one.
Evan
But that's
Gadd-
just like,
but
I mean,
he's
he's
just a
got to go.
DH.
Yeah, he's got to go to the
Gotta be
AL because
AL, yeah.
he can't play the field.
Maybe the White Sox.
Yeah,
He looks like a lumberjack.
He was a high school janitor, so those
He
years just
was.
maybe got to him a little
There
bit.
you go.
But so I have some free agents here that I put down. I kind of blocked on your guys' rundown. I'm sure you've probably already seen them, but I just want to talk about them anyway. The first guy is Clay Buchholz. This is a guy who came up with the Red Sox, and he had a really bad stint with the Phillies in 2017. But last year, I mean, he started in 16 games. He had a 2.01 ERA and a 1.03 WHIP. So he definitely had a bounce back year. And I mean, this is a guy that you could get for like really cheap. So, teams that need pitching, like maybe the Angels, like you said, or something. I mean, that's one guy. Another guy that we have here is Tony Sipp. He's a relief pitcher. His best year of his career, actually, with Houston last year with a 1.86 ERA, with a 2.41 FIP, and a 1.03 WHIP as well. And that's somebody who could definitely give you games in the pen. He pitched in 54 games. And then the last guy who's probably played on every single MLB team, Edwin Jackson. Edwin Jackson, he had a very good year with the Athletics, who came out of nowhere with a 3.33 ERA with 17 games started, which is the best year of his starting career. His last best year was a reliever with the Braves in 2015 with a 2.92 ERA. So there's a lot of sleepers and everything to keep your eye out for.
Yeah, I like all three of those guys. I think they all three will definitely be signing deals here soon. And teams that just come to mind right off the jump, especially for Edwin Jackson, who has played for about at least 10 MLB teams already. Clay
Right.
Buchholz actually used to love with the Red Sox, kind of never panned out. But I do like the guy a lot, and he did have a career year last year.
Yeah.
Just some teams that come to mind right off the bat. You can get these guys cheap, and production may still, you may still get some production out of them. Padres, Angels, Twins, just
Twins.
teams like White Sox, just teams like that,
Yeah.
low, middle to lower market teams. Just take a chance. 1 year deal. You don't have to pay them that much, and they could produce.
Exactly. Just see what you can get. I mean, you have Jose Barrios, who's the stud pitcher for the Twins. I mean, if you can get the likes of Edwin Jackson just to be your number 2 or something, that would just be disgusting.
Well, I believe Clay Buchholz, I believe Toronto signed him to either a minor league deal or brought him in.
Oh,
so
really?
he's gonna get his chance there.
That's another team that definitely.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
I mean, why not if you're Toronto, right? I mean,
Yeah.
what do you have to lose? Low risk,
High
potential
reward.
high reward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Makes a lot
I
of sense.
completely agree. One free agent that we all love so much,
Oh,
Bartolo. Bartolo living his best life. I think we've all seen the picture of him on the boat. What is he holding? A Corona or something? I don't even know. I'm gonna
So
miss
the-
watching that guy play.
or just in the dugout or swinging,
Big
and
sexy.
his helmet
Ooh.
always flies off of his head. No, the guy's awesome. He'll
Honestly.
definitely sign a deal. I think he's now 45 or 46.
Who did he sign with? Because I thought he signed a deal.
Did he?
I thought he did, but I might be mistaken.
I mean, either way, he's going to be playing baseball in 2019.
Yeah, either
But
way.
The dude, yeah, he's so fun to watch. And actually, I mean, he's not great, but he still produces a little bit. Like, he's still
He
got
does.
a little bit left in the tank.
He does. And, it's all about command. He throws 85, 86 now, but his two-seamer on the outside part of the plate
If you
is
hit
just
your
disgusting.
spots.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like every baseball fan that's whatever, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, whatever it may be. It's like your dream. You get to have whatever type of body you want, eat whatever you want, drink whatever you want, and you're still a boss. You still get paid by the MLB to play. That's pretty impressive for
Right.
him.
And he was the last active Major League Baseball player to play for the Expos.
Yep, Montreal Expos.
So
But that's just another reason. Like you're not gonna find a baseball fan who doesn't like Bartolo Colon.
if you don't like Bartolo Colon, then dude's hilarious. But no, let's talk about spring training. Let's kind of transition over here. Talk about impressive starts so far. But before we do that, Danny Farquhar came back. Didn't have a good outing, but it was very emotional. He gave up 5 runs, but just the fact for him to be able to come back into an actual competitive baseball game and be able to pitch after suffering that aneurysm and hemorrhage in his brain, I think it was last April. That's insane, because, I mean, that's stuff that can just end your career. So, I mean,
Yeah, that is awesome. Kudos to him. very impressive to even be standing back on a baseball mound for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So impressive start so far. Who do you guys think has had a good spring training so far, if you can think of anyone? If you want, I can start.
Yeah, we'll start with you, Rob.
Okay.
Go ahead.
For me, guy who went to Vanderbilt, Forrest Whitley. This dude is a stud. He is number 7 in the top 100 for prospects. In spring training so far, I mean, he's only pitched in 2 games, but, I mean, 1.8 ERA and a .8 whip. I mean, this is a guy who has climbed up in their organization, and depending upon what they need, because every team deals with injuries, you could see him coming up, in September. So in the minor leagues, he has a 3.14 career ERA and 163 innings pitched. So that's pretty impressive, pretty usable.
So a couple guys that come to mind from me as well. Cody Bellinger, 23-year-old, absolutely going to be a star. Kind of had an iffy year last year, I would say. So far in spring training, his average is up to 571, and OPS is a strong 1.842. Another guy that comes to mind right off the top of my head is Nick Senzel for the Reds. Now we're kind of going to get into that a little later into the show about the 12-day wait.
Yeah,
or whatever,
we'll get into that
wait.
later, yeah.
But, I mean, Nick Senzel just knows how to hit a baseball.
Oh, I'm sure he does. And I'm sure you absolutely love it.
I do.
You Josh.
So I'll be honest, I don't have a ton of time to watch the spring training, but in looking at stats, one guy that I think will be a star in the league and is already on that path that played some last year, Juan Soto, is mashing the ball. It looks
Absolutely.
like average-wise at least so far in spring training, and even though the Nationals lost Bryce Harper, I mean, goodness, you got a guy coming up that's really, really good there.
Yeah.
So I like that guy. I think he's going to be a star in the league.
I do too. I think he's going to be really good. And another guy too that got a late September call-up who happens to be on my dynasty team, Garrett Hampson. He's fighting for that second base position since LeMahieu left. He's fighting with Pat Valleca and Ryan McMahon. I do think he's the front runner to get this job, though. So in spring training so far, he has 2 home runs and 5 RBIs. So 14 plate appearances, okay? 2 home runs, 5 RBIs, 3 stolen bases, 3 walks, 455 batting average, which obviously doesn't really matter if you only have 14 plate appearances, but he just goes to show, just in 14 plate appearances, he makes things happen. And, that could be someone to look out for in the next couple of years. And then the last guy that I have, too, which I was worried about Sean Manaea going down for the season because he was really their only true lefty in that rotation. Jesus Luzardo. This guy came with the Sean Doolittle and Ryan Madsen deal. So he came along with Trinan as well. So getting Jesus Luzardo and Blake Trinan, absolute steal. But this is a guy who has a 2.53 career ERA in the minors and 152 innings pitched. I mean, this is a guy who's just an absolute stud.
The more you think about that trade, it's actually some bigger names that you would imagine. Now, few years later.
Yeah.
I mean, some
It's crazy.
big-time names.
Because I was upset at first.
Doolittle and Trinan, I mean, geez, those are 2 of the better relievers.
Doolittle was actually ranked. I was watching MLB Network. I forget who it was exactly. Ron Darling and someone else, an MLB analyst. They had the top 10 relievers in the game right now. So obviously you had Hader, you had
Diaz.
Trinan, Diaz, and everything. But Sean Doolittle came in at number 3.
Sean Doolittle, I'm telling you, and he got hurt a little bit last year, but when that guy's healthy, he is for sure, I would say top 10. But yeah, they're giving him top 3. That's pretty high ranks.
Yeah. So do you guys have anything else to say about the spring training so far?
I'm ready for MLB regular season
March
to pick
28th.
up. Can't wait.
I'm happy it's March, even though it's snowing outside.
Right? So one thing that I wanted to talk about that we mentioned last week is growing the game of baseball. So it's sad, but it's true. Not a lot of people know the level of talent and what Mike Trout brings to the game of baseball. But him being on the West Coast really affects this. So how can the MLB market, or how can MLB market the West Coast teams better? Like, what do you guys think?
And that's a tough call because their games just start later. So people on the East Coast, I mean, if you're working the next day or going to school the next day, anything like that, it's going to be tough to stay up.
Yeah.
That's where kind of, I mean, the only really thing I can suggest is maybe more interleague play.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's the only potential to see more kind of those West Coast teams. Because, I mean, when they're playing on the West Coast and you're on the East Coast, unless it's a weekend, you're not going to get to watch many of those games, which is unfortunate because of the guys like Mike Trout.
Exactly. And even if you were to start the West Coast games, to help with East Coast times. So, like, if we wanted to watch a 1 p.m. game, right? Mm-hmm. Or let's say a 4 p.m. game, that's more logical. They're not going to start it even earlier because that just hurts their fans because people still have to work over there. They have families.
And that's what they have to take care of because those are the people filling the seats.
Yeah, it's give and take.
They can't change. That's where it makes it kind of difficult.
And honestly, I think that's why the NFL is so successful in the ratings. Like, yes, they only play once a week, but it fits everyone's schedule because it's on a weekend. Everyone's off. So, but I don't know.
And I think the thing you're getting at too, both of you guys are saying is, baseball more so than maybe football is a regional sport.
Yeah.
Right. So that's where those time zones, especially with them being, let's say 3-hour games roughly. You're right. If a West Coast game, like I'm an Angels fan, but if a game starts at 10:10 Eastern time, guess what? Craig's seeing about 3 innings and going to sleep because I got to work in the morning.
Exactly.
So it makes it hard with the time change. But yeah, that's where I'd say it's more of a regional sport and got to try to better market, I guess, to your own region. I would say is the idea I have. So whether that's social media, whether that's more TV or whatever it might be, but I think that's really all you can do related to that.
Yeah, and I think Alex Bregman is a prime example of this because he's kind of right in the middle, being in Houston with the central time zone and everything, and just he's able to market himself very well. He went to College Game Day for an LSU game to really help brand himself in baseball, and he's one of 2 professional athletes that has like an actual YouTube channel where they actually post content outside of baseball, gives you a chance to get to know them. And me personally, that makes me want to watch Bregman play because I feel like I'm getting to know him, and I don't even like the Astros, but I want to watch him. And same with Juju Smith-Schuster. He's the other guy for the NFL. He uploads content weekly on YouTube, and it makes me want to watch him play. And I despise the Steelers. I mean, it's just crazy, and I think that is something very important to this sport because they racked in $10 billion this year, which is insane because they were a $1 billion industry in 2001. And I mean, baseball isn't a dying sport. It just needs to be broadcasted to a wider variety of people.
Right. I like what you're saying. I love what Alex Bregman does as well. Another guy kind of like that I actually saw on Twitter this week is like in a spring training game, they had mic'd up Trevor Bauer.
I love Trevor Bauer.
Which is awesome. I think more of like, even if you're trying to market spring training, I guess, mic some of the pitchers up or like what they did in the All-Star game with Mookie Betts and just like let them talk to you during I think that's incredible.
That was cool.
It's really cool, and it gets more people involved.
Yeah.
Just to see what the players are actually doing or saying.
Well, and who you're going to market also makes a difference, right? Mike Trout is probably a lot harder to market because he's not Bryce Harper, right? Alex Bregman, who's
a
putting himself out there. Yeah, he does his thing, which he's awesome at, and he's just not an outgoing personality. So you've also got to find the right personalities too to do it. But I did like when I think it was the All-Star game where they had players mic'd up. I did like that a lot. That was cool.
Really
that
cool.
was pretty cool.
That. There was one that was hit to him and he was talking. He started running.
Not gonna get this one.
Not gonna get this one, boys.
That was a good idea. I did like that. That was cool.
Especially for the All-Star game since they took away that the winner gets the home field in the World Series.
More relaxed.
Now that it's like that, it's freaking awesome to see those players go out there and just be on the mic and just talk to you during the game.
And see, that's something else too.
Baseball.
And
they even had the guys like in the on deck circle talking before they went up to hit.
Yeah, now see, that is really cool.
It's like that's awesome. Now, I'm sure during a game they're not going to want to do that. But like spring training or something like that, I think that's awesome. Get more people involved.
I do. I think that's really awesome. And one of the coolest videos I saw too, they had an umpire mic'd up when Syndergaard threw out a batter. He threw it behind him, and he ejected him. And Syndergaard's like, "What'd I do?" And stuff like that. Like you could hear Syndergaard talking, the umpire talking. He's like, "You just can't do that in the situation." That was really cool. Really puts you like you're in the game. But going back to what you said, though, being on deck, that's just really cool to be able to get inside their head. Like, if I'm a young baseball fan, I'm 8 years old, I want to learn how to hit, how to, a proper approach. These guys are literally telling you prime content, like how to do this and stuff like that. If that doesn't make you want to engage in the sport, I don't know what does. I mean, that's just what baseball is.
And, going off what Craig said, too, you got to find the right guys to do it. But, I mean, Bregman and Puigs and the Bowers, Mookie Betts, those guys are awesome to watch mic'd up.
I think another important thing that doesn't get talked about enough, we've talked about a little bit before on side conversations, is for kids. If I have a 3.5-year-old. If you can move the game times up, I think in April the Reds start at 12, 6 or 6:30.
Yeah.
I mean, that makes a big difference for families being able to take their kids, right? If you start at 7 or 8 or whatever it might be, depending on if you're in the playoffs or not, that gets to be pretty late. And I feel like that's where maybe Major League Baseball can do a better job of getting the kids more involved for the future, is maybe having a little bit earlier start time.
Yeah.
I think they're trying to go that way, though, too.
Yeah, I think that would be an area where they can make sure that next generation, right, still loves baseball as much as we do.
Because I know at least for the Reds example, they're trying, while the kids are in school still, starting it at 6:40 until the summertime hits. Then they go back to the 7:10.
Well, you guys probably remember, I mean, at least I do, during the day, I would get home, I'd watch a Chicago Cubs game at 3 o'clock when I got home from school. Baseball was on a Tuesday, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like that part of it just, I don't know, I feel like earlier games, that could be a big help for the next generation.
Jonathan Scope just went yard for the Twins. That's another guy, too.
Big year coming.
He had an off year. He got traded to the Brewers, didn't he? Yeah, he kind of had an off year when he got traded, but I don't know, it'd be a good up and coming team. Obviously, we have spring training baseball playing in the background. I know, kind of going back to what you said, Craig. I mean, that's something I used to do too. When I get off the bus stop, I would just go and watch the Reds. Austin Kern, Sean Casey, just the prime, baseball days. But I think it is important to try and practice that or just test it just to see how do 6:15, 6:30 start times affect attendance in the spring. Because in the summertime, you can revert back to the 7 p.m.s.
Right, because the kids aren't in school.
Right.
Agreed.
Exactly.
So just kind of like with the pitch clock, maybe that's something they can implement. Just try it out for the first month or two. But just kind of moving on. We mentioned it briefly. The MLB team's waiting 12 days after the season to start calling up players, which allows them an extra year of their contract and arbitration eligibility. What do you guys think about this?
The rule or doing it as a team?
Both.
So, I mean, the rule, I guess I like both. For the team's perspective, I mean, I think it's obvious that you have to hold them down in AAA for 12 days to get an extra year out of a potential star player. As in Vlad Guerrero Jr., Senzel, any of these guys. I mean, I think you have to keep them in AAA for 12 days to get that extra year. I mean, 12 days in March, April is not going to win you or lose you the division.
Okay, maybe.
I think the writing...
So if they go 2-10 and then they get Senzel or Vlad Guerrero Jr., you're done for the division.
Well, guess what? You have 2 wins. You go.
I think the writing is on the wall for this one, where when the collective bargaining comes up again, this is going to be a hot topic, right?
Yeah.
And it wouldn't surprise me at all if that changes, because it's so silly that Chris Bryant, Nick Senzel, and these guys have to go down for 2 weeks, and then
I agree, it's silly.
Magically they're up because they should have been from the beginning.
I agree, it's silly, but the teams aren't stupid for doing that.
100%.
I mean,
agree.
if you get an extra year, you got to do it.
The teams should send them down as it stands today, right?
Why
would
wouldn't
you
you?
not? Yeah,
Right.
it's silly not to. But I think, what is that, 2021, the next collective bargaining, that's going to come up again. I'm sure that'll be a hot topic.
Yeah, for me personally, I just 12 days, a lot could happen in, towards the end of the season where you have those games where you're a game or two behind first place, you have to get to the playoffs. Those 12 days could have been crucial, but maybe I'm hoping for both sides to come up with an agreement to where maybe they can just add an extra year to their contract to start out with in arbitration, make it 30 or something like that.
Maybe, but then that extra year ends up being on the rookie deal to where that's another year they have to wait before they get that big contract potentially.
Well, that's their fault.
So
they should talk to their club and be like, hey, just let me start an opening day then.
Right.
So
That's something.
There's pros and
definitely
cons
gonna
to
be
both
brought
of
up.
them. Definitely. All right. And so obviously we talked, guys like Nick Senzel, Fernando Tatis, and Vlad Jr., they will be affected by it. But I have a couple questions for you guys. I mean, who do you think is going to have a breakout year in 2019 if you had to decide?
Well, you guys know my answer is Nick Senzel, but
Oh
I'll go away
God.
from that, and I'll say Vlad Guerrero Jr. Dude is going to be an absolute stud. I mean, outside of the Arenado, Machado, and then I'll give your boy Chapman some credit. I mean, Guerrero I think is already jumping into going to be a top 5 third baseman.
Who? Say that
Guerrero
again. Oh, okay.
already.
All right. Okay. All right. You know what? I'll just go ahead and say this right out the bat. I'm going to say Matt Chapman. My bias is going to come out, but I think I have a respectable bias with this one. Okay. He won Gold Glove for third base last year in American League. Him and Arenado. Okay. Arenado, and Machado are the best third basemen in the game, hands down. I don't care what anyone says. He's definitely proved his worth. I think he has potential to be up there in the MVP votes at the end of the season. Stop smiling, dude. I mean, I'm dead serious. I really think that he's going to have a breakout year, and he'll probably be traded within the next 2 years. So
It's a good bet.
I literally told you this from the get-go. As soon as Donaldson left, I was waiting just to see who's in their organization coming up. Hated Brett Lawrie. Absolutely despised the man. I hated the way he played. He's so cocky. He's not good. And then first year Matt Chapman comes up. I'm like, oh, yeah. This is going to be the guy. This is going to be the next Josh Donaldson. And I literally heard them say that in a broadcast like 2 weeks later. And I was like, oh, here we go. And sure enough, about, where he really started to excel is with the Athletics, third base. But it does suck for me because I know he's going to get traded probably for prospects. But, yeah, who do you think, Craig?
So Ryan took mine. I was going to go Vlad Guerrero Jr. I loved Vlad Guerrero. He was obviously on the Angels and was a superstar in the Hall of Fame. I think Vlad Guerrero Jr. is going to be a monster hitter. I'm a little worried about him defensively.
He's a bigger dude.
He's a big boy. Mm-hmm. I think it's either going to be first or DH when it's said and done for him. Probably DH, but he is going to mash. So he would be my pick. He'll probably be one that they'll start in the minors because of what we just talked about.
Yep.
He'll come up, let's say, mid-April, and he'll be on the team probably for the rest of the year, would be my guess. So a perfect example.
Yeah. Question for you, Ryan. Do you think Mookie Betts is going to be able to repeat his 2018 campaign?
No. Don't. I mean, it's kind of like the same thing about what we were talking about in other podcasts like DeGrom, etc., things like that. I mean, the numbers he put up were just...
Godly.
Yeah, it'd be unreasonable to expect that same amount of production again. I still think he's going to be good, but to put up the same numbers, I highly doubt it. But he will have a good year.
Yeah. So if you guys had to choose a surprise team for 2019, who would it be and why?
That's a tough question.
For me, honestly, I think it's going to be the Rays. They're going to be a surprise team, even though some people would say, well, they had a winning record last year. I don't really know. But they have Willie Adames, who's an absolute stud, up and coming. He's going to be with the Rays. Austin Meadows, who got traded for Archer last year. And they're just... I think they have the right pieces to the puzzle. If they still had Eovaldi, that would be disgusting.
Ooh.
And I think that would solidify their candidacy for the playoffs, like to be in if they had Eovaldi. But unfortunately, the Red Sox have Eovaldi. But who do you think?
I'll give a few here. I do like that Rays pick. They were awesome last year. I think they'll be good again. I will go Twins, actually. I know they're playing in the background, but Jose Barrios, I mean, I think they have a decent team. And then actually what you were kind of saying earlier, potentially, if starting pitching clicks and everything goes right, potentially the San Diego Padres.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think, Craig?
Yep. No, I was going to say the Padres for exactly what Ryan just said. And if they bring up Tatis this year and he starts producing early, like say an Acuna or Albies did for Atlanta last year, it's going to be a good team if they can get some pitching. And bias coming out here, I'm going to say the Angels are going to make the playoffs. So I'm going Angels.
Okay.
Wild card
Stop.
2019.
Stop. Why? And why would you
Pujols
even
back
think
to his
that?
MVP self.
At the age of 45?
45. In the Dominican, he's 50. No, I think Mike Trout's going to have a monster year. I think
Obviously.
their pitching's going to be better. Andrelton Simmons is extremely underrated. That guy is a monster offensively.
What are they going to do
and
with Cozart?
defensively. I think they're going to end up moving him to second
base.
and I think they'll play that maybe Fletcher at third or maybe sign somebody. But he'll be at third or second, one of the two.
Shohei Ohtani, though, is a question mark.
Yeah,
He
he's supposed
said-
to start DHing in May.
He was swinging off a tee with no pain or anything.
He's obviously if he's healthy all year, that's an improvement. They
that-
did finally get a closer. They got Cody Allen
That's
from Cleveland.
a really good pickup.
If Justin Upton and Cole Calhoun can be decent, I feel like they got a shot.
Yeah.
So those are my two picks: Padres and
Yeah.
Angels staying West Coast.
And honestly, I was kind of shocked that Moustakas didn't sign with the Angels because I thought that was a perfect fit for them.
Yeah, it could have been.
But I understand why he'd re-sign with the Brewers. But I was really hoping he would sign with the Angels because I think that would just been a perfect fit.
And he moved to second for the Brewers.
Yeah,
did you
'cause
see that?
Travis Shaw.
Oh, wow. I did not see that.
So that'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
That's kind of weird.
Yeah, one of them had to move.
He wasn't even that mobile like a
No.
third.
He's
No.
he's a big boy.
He's like
too.
a Daniel
He is.
Murphy.
He signed for
Be
hitting.
interesting to see how that goes.
Yeah. Okay. So then my last question, will Jacob deGrom have another Cy Young Award type year? I'm not saying the same numbers. I'm
Right.
saying will he have another Cy Young Award type year?
I'm going to go no.
I'm gonna say
Just no.
I'm gonna say yes. I think he's young. I think he's got good stuff. I think he's gonna want to get paid, and he's either in or coming up on his contract year. I know. I think he's
Yeah.
gonna have an excellent year.
Yeah, I think I agree with Craig. Sorry, Ryan.
That's all right.
But I think DeGrom, just what he was capable of doing with the team he had and the batters he had to face last year was outstanding. I think the only two players that he really has to face that are different are Segura and McCutcheon. So, just the big names I see.
Harper.
Well,
he
I'm
was
saying
on the
like different. I'm
Nationals
saying
last
Oh, gotcha.
because he's
gotcha.
still in the NL
right,
East.
right. Yes,
But I mean, the
that's
team,
true.
yeah.
I was gonna say JT Romero, but he's already faced him too. So I don't know. I think
I
he's
just-
still gonna have
Yeah, I
a
don't
really
think-
good year.
Josh Donaldson.
I think he's going to pick on the Marlins. But I mean, the other three teams are solid there. I
for
can't
sure.
expect him to have that. same
That
type
division is loaded 1 through 4, and then you have the Marlins.
of- right?
All right. So we're gonna go ahead and go with our closing segment, as everyone who listens knows. The start one, cut one, bench one, and I'll go first. So I'll name 3 guys, and Ryan and Craig are going to, give their start one, their cut one, and bench one, and they're going to give us their reasons why. So either of you can answer first, but 3 guys here: Charlie Blackmon, Josh Reddick, and Andrew Benintendi, Madeira High School's finest. We're going to go outfielders.
All right, so I guess I'll start. I will start Benintendi due to his age. I think just straight up hitter. I just love the way he plays the game. Bench, we'll go with Charlie Blackmon, who's honestly probably the best hitter of all 3. I just like Benintendi as a player more, and then I'll go ahead and cut Reddick.
I have the exact same. Can I say something, though?
Of course.
You can forget sometimes how good the Boston lineup is. Benintendi is in there. I mean, they
I
are
know.
just loaded.
The bees. Bogarts, Benintendi, Betts.
You have
Bradley.
JD.
Bradley, yeah.
Right, Martinez.
Wow.
That lineup is
Money pays.
unbelievable. It
Bradley.
really does, and it's so unfortunate.
I'm going with the same as Ryan.
Same as Ryan. Okay, well, I'll go different, but I do agree with you two. Benintendi definitely starting. I mean, the dude's an absolute beast, and he definitely solidified himself as a starting left fielder for
One of the best.
Yes, definitely. For the World Series champion Boston Red Sox. I am actually going to bench Josh Reddick. Just for the simple fact, the dude has an absolute cannon, and he's a pretty good right fielder. I think that's hard to come by nowadays. Although Blackman does hit the ball better, but I'm going to have to go with Reddick for my bench and Blackman to cut.
Random question, actually, just kind of thinking about this. What do you guys think about Blackman's average, etc., if he did not play in Colorado?
I don't think it would change. I really don't. I
don't
think it's harder to play center field, too, in Colorado. If he played somewhere else, his WAR would be even higher.
I feel like defensively he's taken a step back in the last couple years for sure.
Well, yeah.
But offensively, one of the best.
Offensively, he's really,
Straight
really
hits.
good.
All right, so I'll go here. I've got some first basemen for you fellas
First baseman, okay.
this week. We've got Freddie Freeman. We've got Paul Goldschmidt.
Ooh.
And we've got Joseph Daniel Votto.
Oh, man, that's tough.
That is
Now,
tough.
those are three good first basemen.
Okay, I know. I'll go first. I'm going to start Goldschmidt just because obviously the dude hits. He's arguably the fastest first baseman in the game, and he can flash his leather pretty nicely. On the bench, God, this is so hard. This is honestly probably the hardest one we've done yet because both guys.
I mean,
If I had to go
there's
with
no
right
bad
now,
player.
I know. If I had to go with right now, oh my gosh, I'm probably gonna regret it, but I'm gonna say Joey Votto, just because the dude gets on base, and that's also really hard to come by. But I really do love Freeman, so he's on my nice list, but I had to cut him.
I will go start Goldschmidt. I think he's the best first baseman in the league.
Yeah,
I am
agreed.
benching Freeman, and I am cutting Joey base on balls Votto.
He does walk a lot. That man walks a lot with that keen eye. So I'll give you mine. I actually do agree with that. I would cut Joey Votto as well. I'm going to start, actually, Freddie Freeman. Just love the way the guy plays in
I
the
think
prime
that's
of
the
his career.
dynasty bias coming out.
But the dude just hits, gets on base. I mean, no weakness in that guy as well. And then I would have to bench Goldie. I mean, I think those are your two best first basemen in the game as of right now, though.
Okay. What do you got?
Mine
Craig?
is a little bit different. So this is going to be rookies or second-year players,
Okay.
not necessarily all playing
Ooh.
the same position.
Okay.
You've got Soto from the Nationals,
Uh-huh.
Guerrero Jr. from the Blue Jays, and Acuna from the Braves.
That's a good.
This is a good one. Would you like to go first, Ryan, or me?
Let's see here. I'll go.
Okay.
So I'm going to start Ronald Acuna Jr.
Why do you always say it like
because
that?
this guy is awesome. I mean, yeah, he's just so exciting to watch play the game of baseball. But I'll start with Acuna. I will actually bench. Oddly enough, I really want to cut Guerrero just because I've never seen the guy play in the majors. I'm actually going to bench Guerrero just because, I mean, from what I've seen so far, he can just mash a baseball. Love that. And then I'll go ahead and cut Soto.
Okay. For me, I would start Acuna. Dude's an absolute monster. Rookie of the year. I would bench Juan Soto, and I would cut Vlad Jr. just because he's not proven in the major leagues. Juan Soto solidified himself, very good outfielder, replaces Harper easily, I think. Obviously, it's not Harper, but, I mean, at his age with what he produced, I think it's a very similar comparison. And then, yeah, I would cut Vlad Jr.
So I think we all three have different ones. I would start Vlad Jr.
Yes, we did.
Hall of Fame blood.
The guy who literally just
He has
said...
not played an MLB game yet.
Well, just from a guy who literally just said, oh, he's a big dude.
He is a big dude, but he mashes.
Just because he mashes, okay.
Absolutely. I think he's going to be first base or DH, but I'm going to take him, and then I'm going to take Acuna on my bench, and I will cut Juan Soto, who probably will be a Major League Baseball All-Star.
Yes, no doubt.
I'm going off of the Hall of Fame gene pool there.
And then obviously not playing games.
Guerrero.
Just, yeah. But we'd like to thank you all for tuning in for the podcast today. Just be sure to follow us yet again on social media. Our Twitter handle is @SeedsandSticks. Same with Facebook, and you can also follow us on SoundCloud, YouTube, Podbean, and remember to also join our Discord channel. We will also possibly be doing a giveaway, and to do that, we'd probably have you like and share the page, and you'd be entered for about a $25 gift card of your choice, probably just a Visa, so you could use it wherever. But any closing remarks, guys? March 20th can't get here quick enough, huh?
Right. It's almost time.
Let's get the baseball season. It's almost here.
Right. All right, well, thank you all so much, and tune again for next week for our next episode.